that's not.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Live at 5. It is Monday. It's Monday. It's the Monday.
It's Monday.
Blues. Monday's rainy blues here. Monday, April 16th. It is Kelly O'Hara's birthday. Happy birthday, Kelly O'Hara.
Kelly O'Hara.
I am Ryan Lee Gilbert.
And I'm Beth Stevens.
And we are joined here in the studio once again
by me, Kelly O'Hara. Me, Kelly O'Hara.
Matt Roden's here.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back.
Thank
Matt.
you. Happy to be back.
And we have a great guest.
We do.
We have Rupak Ginn from the Stone Witch joining us in a little bit, and we'll talk to him about that off-Broadway play. But first, we have today's top 5.
All right, over the weekend, we won an Emmy, Beth.
Yes, we did, Matt.
You were
yes,
there.
we did. Emmy winners. So, okay. Broadway.com, the people here at Broadway.com, we produce, we write, we direct, we create.
Do it all.
A special about the Tonys. Let me tell you a little bit about this. It's called, I know you care so much. This is big for us,
Yes.
but we're going to tell you about it anyway. It's called Broadway.com Presents at the Tonys with Imogen Lloyd Webber. She hosts it. And we won this category, special event coverage, parentheses, other than news and sports. I will tell you,
Yes.
I did go to
We
the
weren't competing with news and sports.
I will tell you, I went to the ceremony on Saturday night. It was a lot of fun. It's at the Marriott Marquis. And the whole time I was like, is it news and weather? We're not up against the weather? Okay, good. Anyway, we're thrilled. We really are.
That's so exciting.
Yes, it's just great. So congratulations to Imogen, to the whole team
whole
here at
team,
Broadway.com,
yeah.
Paul Wontorek, everyone.
You?
Yay.
Yes.
I co-wrote it with Paul. It's good stuff. So we're really happy about that.
Awesome.
We also found out today who the Pulitzer Prize winners are, and that includes for drama. Right?
Yes, I know that we
Yay.
are big Pulitzer followers. We love the
are.
Pulitzer Prizes.
Count
So
down.
Martina Mayok, she wrote Cost of Living, a play that premiered last year off-Broadway. She won the Pulitzer Prize for drama. She is a first-time recipient and nominee for this, and she will receive a prize of $15,000.
And she gets to be called a Pulitzer winner for the rest of her life.
For the rest of her life, she gets that nice Pulitzer Prize winner, Martina Mayok. Yes, in front of her name.
That's right.
You saw Cost of Living.
I saw it, and I actually interviewed the cast,
That's
which
right.
you can watch when you click on that story on Broadway.com.
Right.
And it's really interesting because it's about physically disabled people and also people who are financially disenfranchised.
Right.
But two of the actors in the play were also actually, there was a double amputee. These people were actually physically
Right.
disabled.
That's
which is
right.
fascinating to see on stage. You don't get to see that very often. Also wonderful actors. So
Yeah.
it was
like
wonderful.
a slice of American life that we don't typically get to see in
Not
things
on
like
stage,
this.
yeah.
No. So
Really
and
good.
then the other finalists were Brandon Jacobs Jenkins, who is absolutely incredible.
Super talented.
Yes, MacArthur genius. For his play Everybody, which was also off Broadway last year at the Pershing Square Signature Center, and Tracy Letts, a man who's familiar with Pulitzer Prizes for August Osage County. He was a finalist for The Minutes, which premiered in Chicago.
And it's supposed to come here.
It's supposed to still come here. It was supposed to be here already initially.
I'm sure it will
But
at some point.
the timeline got pushed around a bit. So we're still expecting to see it, but congrats to the finalists and to Martina. Such a cool thing.
I wonder what's the numbers like comparing like shows that have won that are off Broadway versus Broadway shows. Do you know what I mean?
You know, it doesn't have to even be in New York.
Right.
It can be
That's so
any
interesting,
play
Yeah,
that's
because like
submitted.
The Minutes was only in the Chicago.
And
yeah.
actually, a long time ago, 2003, I think, Nilo Cruz won for Anna in the Tropics. It hadn't been produced yet. It was just published, and they read this text. And then
Interesting.
it came to Broadway. So
Yeah.
there you
All
go.
right, so more news. We got casting for this new off-Broadway production of Smokey Joe's, Beth.
Smokey Joe's. I have a long history of Smokey Joe's Cafe. We'll say that for another time. This is obviously, everyone knows, the review of Lieber and Stoller. Great music, Hound Dog.
Such good music. yeah.
Broadway, One Thin Dime, you know what I'm talking about. Neon Lights Are Bright for two Broadway.com former vloggers, Jelani Remy of The Lion King, and Alicia Umfris did it when she was
Yes,
on the town. And they are joined by Kyle Taylor Parker, Dwayne Cooper, Emma, I'm not going to say her name right, John Edwards, Dion D. Figgins, Nicole Vanessa Ortiz, and Max Sangerman. This is great. This is Stage 42 starting July 6th with opening night slated for July 22nd. It's such a fun show.
Spend your summer at Smokey Joe's. Like
Jailhouse
that is
Rock.
So good.
Good songs, lots of fun.
And they're going to Ungunquit Playhouse up in Maine.
Up in
Oh,
Maine.
yes.
That's right.
Very
So they come
good.
down here. We also got casting for Dan Cody's Yacht new play.
Yes, Dan Cody's Yacht. This will be premiering. This is being directed by Doug Hughes. It'll begin previews on May 15th at the New York City Center, Stage 1. Amazing cast. You have Rick Holmes, who was just recently out here on Broadway in Junk. You have Kristen Bush, John Croft, Meredith Forlenza, Laura Kai Chen, Jordan Lage, Casey Weiland, and Roxana Hoparaja, who will be joining the Broadway company of Torch Song. She was in the off-Broadway version as well, so she's super busy. Way to go. And this takes place in a small Boston suburb where a single school teacher is struggling to get by when a wealthy father of one of her students surprises her with a financial proposal that could change her daughter's life.
It's like you just made that up in your mind.
Look at that. It was just beamed in.
That's exciting.
And then previews on May 15th and June 6th is opening night. I wish you could see the what I wrote here, which you can't. But I wrote Phantom Fun, PHUN, because there's some Phantom news that I think is exciting.
For the fans.
For the fans.
We're just all spitting on each other now. Okay, Ben Crawford starts tonight in the role of the Phantom, so
exciting.
Happy opening night for Mr. Crawford. Jay Armstrong Johnson is joining the cast
so cool.
as Raoul. That's really exciting. We love him.
Jay Armstrong.
He's starting on April 30th, and he is succeeding Rodney Ingram, who's currently in the role. And, of course, they're with our wonderful former vlogger, Ali Ewald.
Yes.
And, Phantom, now and
We love
forever.
those Phantom
That's
people.
not really for Phantom, but we're going to say it. So congratulations to all those guys. And Phantom's so great.
We love
With a
Phantom.
great new cast, there's always someone good in
They're
it.
keeping it fresh.
Keeping it fresh.
A lot of Broadway
with a
favorites
PH.
over there. Well, Beth, thank you so much. Congrats again.
Thank
Emmy
you.
winner, Beth Stevens.
Thank you.
Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about today's guest?
I would love to. Rupak Ginn was raised in Harlem and has appeared on stage, on television, and on film in projects like Kiowa, Friends with Benefits, Just Right, The Namesake, and 5 Weddings. He recently filmed the pilot episode of TNT's Highland. He played Raj on USA's Royal Pains for 7 seasons, and his guest starred on Private Practice, Unforgettable, and Person of Interest. He originated the role of Peter in The Stone Witch for its world premiere at the Berkshire Theater Festival, and is now reprising that role off-Broadway, and that is what he is here to talk about today. If you have questions for Rupak, leave them in the comment section below, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. And now, here's Ryan and Rupak.
Hello, Rupak. All fans watching. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so
pleasure.
excited to have you. You are starring in The Stone Witch.
Yes.
Off Broadway. You're at the West Side Theater. Is that right?
That's right.
You have been with this production since its world premiere, Berkshire, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Tell us a little bit, if you aren't familiar with The Stone Witch, tell me a little bit about what this story is and who you play.
All right. So I like to say the summation is it's about creativity and the sort of the line between creative madness and creative genius.
Mm-hmm.
And the basic story is there's Simon Grinberg, who's this legendary genius children's book writer, played by the awesome Dan Lauria.
Dan Lauria, so great.
So
yes.
amazing, so
Awesome.
talented. Wonder Years.
Wonder Years.
This is us.
Christmas Story, the musical.
Christmas Story.
Yes.
And I play Peter Chandler, a struggling young artist who has talent but isn't fully realized yet as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's sent up there by their editor, played by Carolyn McCormick.
Right.
And she's fantastic as well, Law and Order. So I'm working
Yes.
with 2 fantastic actors. And I go up to this remote cabin and I encounter Dan Lauria and his mania, and we realize through our journey together that we actually both need each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a journey about realizing your own value as an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you first read this, when you first found out about it, what drew you to it? What impressed you so much about it that you wanted to be a part?
I mean, the role was so great. You know, it's often the role. In fact, it's almost always the role. It was rich. It was dense in a good way. And honestly, at that point, I just wasn't very satisfied by a lot of the roles that I'd been offered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd been working for a long time by that point, but it's tough to get a role you can sink your teeth into.
Right.
And I'm sure you've met enough actors who's
Absolutely,
probably, you know, it's
yeah.
like, it's really the role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The wanting, to dive into a juicy part and
Yes,
speak the
yes.
words of a
Yeah.
gifted writer.
And then work with great
which
actors.
you have, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
always speak great words.
Mhm.
And then if you can work with great people, that's a bonus.
That's right. So the Stone Witch, is that's the name of the project that you are working on in
Yes.
this. And it's like a fantasy children's story,
You know,
right?
it's such. I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people, it's like, what's the messaging around this? Is it a horror story?
Right, 'cause you hear
No.
witch
You
and
hear
it's-
witch and you're like, oh, it should go for Halloween. No,
Right.
no. Although you should. No, it's very family friendly. It's, I've had kids 10 and up. Love it. Maybe under 10.
You're a dad.
might be
You
tough.
know
I'm a
what's
dad.
yeah,
I know.
you know
I
what's
had my 6-year-old come, and that was a little bit much.
little few things.
A few things. I also had to prep him. I was like, Daddy's gonna use some bad language.
Yeah.
Like, please, and
This
don't
is for
talk
here, not home.
That's right. That's right. You don't act like Daddy on stage.
Right.
Also, actually, it was the first time you ever saw me in something.
Oh,
so
no
it's like,
way. Oh,
this
so
is-
cool.
Yeah, it's so weird as an actor. It's tough to describe to a kid what
you do. Yeah.
Because I don't get up with the suit and the briefcase and Don Draper style. I don't do that. I wear my clothes. Sometimes I'm not working, and it's like that's like a weird thing. It's like Daddy's home today.
Right.
So yeah, I think 10 and up, and it's really all right. And here's the elevator pitch of what the story is. I think it's a Scent of a Woman, and I came up with this the other day. So you tell me what you think. It's
buckled in.
It's Scent of a Woman meets My Fair Lady.
Oh, okay, great.
Because it's
All
just
right.
a great mentorship, relationship drama. And it's got some laughs in there too.
Right.
Kind of like Scent of a Woman. But it's also got these sort of racial politics. I mean, Simon
Sure,
Winberg,
sure.
he is Jewish, the character, and he's been through some very traumatic things. The Holocaust is very much in his consciousness. And my character, obviously, I'm brown. You can see that. So there's that ethnic, angle as well.
Right.
So but that mentorship relationship is very key to the story.
Yeah,
So.
and lots of plot twists and turns. Like the story
Lots.
starts to go in directions that you don't really see coming, and some
Yeah.
reversals of fortune. It's very
Yes.
fascinating.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Were you was performing? We just heard you were raised in Harlem.
Yeah.
Were you born in San Francisco? Is
Oh
that
my
right?
gosh, I know. It's the mark on my sketching. No. Yes, I know. This is why I'm always like, when I write my bio, I wish I could say born and
just-
bred in New York. But I have to use the word like
Yeah.
raised. It's like I feel
Yeah.
like a chicken on a farm, but it's like. But I'm raised in New York and just born.
Raised in New York in the body and soul.
I
here.
know.
Yes,
We moved when I was 2.
So then you absolutely.
But
you
I can't say I was born here. So anyway.
Yeah. No facts are facts
Facts are facts.
Was performing always the path that you were going to take?
No, absolutely not. Look, it was the path I wanted to take. I was the guy in English class who was raising his hand, like, we would do Henry IV, which is one of my favorite plays of all time. And I was like, ooh, when the teacher's like, can we have a reader? But I didn't know you can make a living at it. My parents are both doctors, which is a very
Did they
common-
want you to kind of do
I
the
think
same?
so. There were very subtle hints, like, B is for bad and things like that. I remember I was 6 and I came with a B. I was like, I got a B. And my teacher's like, B is honors. That's great. And my dad was like, no, B is for bad. Just that was... And I may be passing that on to my son, which is weird because...
Well, we all become our parents.
We all do because you have kitties in your life.
I don't. No,
Okay,
not
well,
yet. Yeah.
that's why
I
you
mean,
look
I have
so young.
actual kittens.
I was gonna say you do have kitties.
Hey,
The actual kitties. Yes. And
They get
They
grades
like
too.
to eat as much as I do. So.
But I didn't think I was going to be an actor. Then I stepped on the stage in high school. That was really my first play, and I did Tom Stoppard's The Real Inspector Hound. I played Simon Gascoigne. Never
Oh,
forget
okay.
that.
Yeah, it's a great name.
It's a great name, and it's not one of his better-known plays, I think. But my my high school drama teacher took a chance on me, and I was in love. I stepped on stage, and it was like that Billy Elliot moment of like, it's like electricity. My Scottish accent's
No,
terrible,
totally,
but it's like
yeah.
electricity. You feel so at home and alive. And so I wanted to get back on stage from that moment.
Well, so this is your off-Broadway debut, which
Yeah.
is incredible. That's
Yeah.
you've done lots of film and TV work.
Yes,
What's
yes.
was there? You kind of just hinted at it, but did you have a desire to get back to the stage, be on stage again with that kind of live audience?
Yeah. I thought I was going to be a theater actor. So high school, and then I got to Harvard freshman year, right? And I was like, what am I doing here? I want to be on stage. And so from there, I started training in musical theater, and Bombay Dreams was coming.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
I was like, oh,
absolutely.
this is my chance.
this is it.
This is it. I'm going to be, I remember, this is so awful. I was training a song, and it was, I was from Ragtime, and it was Brian Stokes Mitchell. And it was Make Them Hear You. But the problem was I was singing it like Brian Stokes Mitchell, because
Sure,
I was like
yeah.
listening to the CD over. I was like, make them hear you. And I remember it was Bernie Telsey, and he was like, stop, that was fine, but like,
I'd love to hear Rupak.
who
sing.
are you? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's
Yeah.
like, who are you? And it was one of the best notes I could have ever got.
Sure.
And it's one you could keep returning to. But anyway, so yeah, it was theater. I came out here after graduating, and I was doing a lot of off Broadway, like La Mama ETC,
Okay.
Bank Street Theater, loving it, but getting paid nothing,
Sure.
which is tough.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Struggling actor,
Paying dues,
paying
yeah.
dues, living with my parents. And after a while, I was like, I gotta make money.
Totally.
And
yeah.
and I did always love film and TV, to be fair, more film. So I came out to LA,
Yeah.
and sort of unfortunately, theater fell to the
Sure.
wayside.
Well, you were busy doing the Royal
I was
Pains.
busy, I was
Yeah,
working, and
yeah,
I was happy, but
absolutely.
I always wanted to return to the stage, and this was sort of a triumphant. Honestly, well,
Yeah.
it became more and more triumphant because at first it was a workshop, the
Right,
Stonewitch, and the
right.
Berkshires, summer stock, summer theater. That was great, but then I got the call.
Opportunities kind of just
Somehow.
kept. Yeah. Well, when a
That's-
good piece of work speaks for itself. So
Yeah.
yeah, and a good one. And here you are, and we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
You're also. I know that we have some viewers watching, so we
Oh,
should
yeah.
take some questions in a
Yes,
little bit.
yeah,
But
sure.
also, you're playing a writer
Yeah.
in this show. But you also have written a book, right? You've written
Yeah.
a spy thriller, which I'm. What's the spy thriller
that's-
all
okay.
about?
So it's one of my favorite genres of all time, and it's basically India's answer to James Bond and Jason Bourne.
Oh, fantastic.
So
okay.
So
yeah.
and look, that's my story to tell. I think the spy thriller genre all genres need to be burst wide open right now. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
archetype
preaching to the choir. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The archetype right now is a straight white male with like a very chiseled jaw. I think there should be a gay super James
Yeah.
Bond. There should be a female super.
Absolutely.
And so it's absolutely. Why not? What the hell? You know?
No, yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, what can I write uniquely? And then people are gonna be like, okay, you can tell that story because in a way you got to be able to have authenticity to it. And I thought, okay, I'm Indian. I'm very connected to India. It's like a second home to me. I love this genre. I wrote this character, and I started writing it as a screenplay, but I thought, no, I'm gonna need to convince the studio to greenlight this.
And you can dig in a little bit deeper with
you
yeah.
can create this thing from the ground up, and so I wrote the novel.
And and so any idea what you're just kind of like tinkering with it, shopping it around.
So
at
here's
this point?
thank you for asking. You know, it's right now with my agents. They're shopping it
All right,
around.
excellent.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Publishers will
absolutely.
like it.
Fingers
I think
crossed
it's
for it.
good.
I
so.
can't wait to read it. Very
I'm excited for it.
excited.
Yeah.
Matt, what would our viewers
Okay,
like to know
a very
from Rupak?
diverse set of questions here. This one will be fun to kick things off with. Do you have a favorite memory from the Cheetah Girls One World?
Oh, one love.
A Disney, a Disney film? Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
I have. Well, I should tell you the moment I booked that job.
Yes, I wanna hear
that
the
was
story.
my favorite. Oh my gosh! All right, so I had a day job. I was working for actually an early investor in Uber, so he's like a multimillionaire.
Oh, okay.
He's doing
Gotcha.
fine.
Yeah.
But I was plugging away at a computer. I was like a monkey at a computer, and I was miserable. I'd been in LA for like a year and a half, and nothing was happening. I came there to be an actor. I got this job off Craigslist, and I was, it was whatever. I was frustrated. And I had been trying to get in. They were trying to see people to play this Bollywood star. I'm like, I'm Indian. I should get in there. I have decent enough hair.
Yeah,
what the hell?
absolutely.
So I couldn't get an audition, and I was so angry and frustrated. And I was calling my agents, like, "What's going on?" They're like, "We're trying. They couldn't go. They couldn't get an audition. The producing team went to India to find this guy.
Wow.
Couldn't find him. Came back to the U.S. Last minute, and I'm just typing away. I get an email. Bring. You've got mail or whatever, and I get this audition in the middle of work, and I have to I freak out first. I have to go. I sneak away. I don't know if anybody knows LA, but I have to drive about an hour to Burbank from Santa Monica. It's rough. I do the audition. Casting director's like, "Why haven't I seen you before? What's this?" And
You tell me, sir.
yeah, I know. I felt like saying, "Well, you didn't call me in." I mean, but I didn't. but I left, and I thought, okay, that was it. I did a good job. And then halfway through my drive back to work, I get a call like they want to see you again for producers. And then, of course, I couldn't sneak out of work twice, so I had to ask my boss for the day off, which he thankfully gave me. And then I drove back. I did the audition. I knew I nailed it because I just could feel the energy. They actually played a boombox and had me do some dancing, and I just knew it. It was great. And I met Deborah Martin Chase, the producer there, who's fantastic, and she's now a dear friend. And she actually is on the board of Second Stage, and so she's a big theater person as well. But a few days went by, and I didn't hear anything. And I called my manager. I was like, "What happened? I thought they loved me. What's going on?" And he's like, "All right, let me call them." He calls them. He calls me back in like 5 minutes. He's like, "I'm sorry, you didn't get the job." And he did one of those things, and I was, "What? Oh," I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I'm just BSing you. You got the job." And I was just like,
Put you through the emotional
Through the-
gamut.
exactly, yeah,
No
but
kidding.
it was-
Was it a fun set too?
Oh,
I mean,
it was
that's-
amazing. So the three girls were fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was India, which is my parents' homeland.
Mm-hmm.
It was Rajasthan. There were castles. It was beautiful. It was beautiful outfits. And it's love and romance, which who doesn't like that?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you could star in any Broadway musical, what would you choose?
Oh gosh.
From Elise.
For what?
From Elise.
From Elise. Hi, Elise.
Besides Bombay Nights.
Is
of course.
Okay, so when I was in high school, it was Rent, which R.I.P.
Sure, yeah,
Roger,
yeah.
whatever. But right now, I think it would be. That's a great question. Maybe it would be fun to play Aladdin.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm here for that.
Absolutely.
I think that would be fun.
Totally.
I grew up with Aladdin. I'd like to rub the lamp and sing the songs.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Are you a fan of like classical musicals? Or I mean, Broadway has so many right now. We have
Yeah.
My Fair Lady here. We have Carousel
Yeah.
here. We have Kiss Me
You-
Kate coming.
I love I grew up on like Sound of Music. I think that was and My Fair Lady as well. I was
Totally.
actually just watching Audrey Hepburn last night in Charade. Old movie
Oh,
fans out there.
fantastic. Yeah.
Cary Grant. I love classical musicals. I'm saying what are the ones that are playing right now? I'm sort of drawing a blank. They're bringing back Carousel.
Is Carousel's here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think if My Fair Lady came back, here's the other thing about reinventing. Like I think these things are ripe for diversity, and I think a lot of these casting directors are getting that.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be cool.
Opening up new opportunities.
I think I'm too old to play Mr. Higgins, but maybe in a few years. Yeah.
David wants to know what performer or performers inspired you to become an actor.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think it was, and this is probably going to be a lot of the film people. Denzel Washington was a big inspiration. He is a great actor of color, honestly. So for me, right, being an actor of color, I was always looking for people like that. But then, additionally, I think it was actors like Gary Oldman, who's so dedicated to his craft, Daniel Day-Lewis, the people who are so super dedicated to
Get
what
very
they do.
immersed.
Very
in there,
immersed in
yeah.
it. But I think Denzel was one of the first who kind of just blew my mind. He's like, here's a person of color or a minority, and there are many kinds of minorities. There's gender minorities, there's sexuality minorities, there's racial minorities. But he stood in his power, and he had an integrity about him, which I liked.
Yeah, he's also an incredible stage actor. He's here.
Yeah, was
in
Iceman. I'm
cometh,
trying to
yeah.
see Iceman.
Yeah, no,
I gotta
and-
set aside some time, but yeah.
And Fences and Raisin
And
in the Sun.
Fences
His
and-
performances are just, he's incredibly gifted.
George wants to know what words of wisdom would you tell your younger self?
Good question.
And this gets back to the Stone Witch, which is the real message of the Stone Witch.
Well, this is a good.
This is the one. This is value yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a self-confidence is a long ass journey.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the one I would tell. It's like you're enough. And I don't even know if I still got that message. But certainly my 20-year-old self did not have that message.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we've learned, keep working at it. Like there's
Keep
no
working at it. Keep working on yourself and it's going to be fine. And the other thing I tell myself is just keep doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird thing to say, but just like moment by
The
moment.
right thing is always the right thing to do.
The right thing. That's right. And be nice to people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, always. That's it, always. Well, Rupak, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go see This Stone Witch. It's at Off-Broadway's West Side Theater. Incredible production. Oh, are you on Twitter, Instagram?
Yes,
Where should they follow you?
I'm at Rupak on Twitter, and I'm at Rupak Ginn on Instagram.
All
Got
right.
that
Follow
that
there.
straight up. You got the at Rupak. That is huge.
I
Lucky.
own it.
You did that early.
That's right. 2007, I got it.
Well, make sure you go see it. Thank you again so much.
Thank
Come back
you.
anytime to see us.
You guys are so sweet. I really appreciate your energy. It's
Our
really
pleasure.
positive. Yeah.
And Matt, why don't you take us out, sir?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys know the deal. We do this live every single weekday at 5 p.m. here on Broadway.com's Facebook page. This goes out on YouTube. It goes out on our site. And if you want a different way to consume this show, you can subscribe to the Live at 5 podcast, which also comes out right after the show every single day. Tune in tomorrow when SpongeBob SquarePants' Gavin Lee is coming to hang out with us. Tap dancing, probably only with 2 legs, not 4 legs, I'm imagining. Hope you guys have a great Monday. If you live in New York, stay dry. The rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.